So in this demo of S-Contract, I'd like to get right into the detail, showing you some of the flexible billing features available in S-Contract. So we have a project here with the main project details. As you may have seen in previous demos, we look at stages and charges, and we have 3 stages in this small project. And I can click on Invoicing. So at the top of the screen, it actually shows you the stage and the relevant details regarding the current status of the stage. So for this particular stage, we have a hire component, a rental component, which shows the contract period and basically what you've got in that contract. So we've got a weekly rate of $618.79. If we actually flick over to the third stage, we then see that we have another contract for that particular stage for $370 a week. Now, notice how it doesn't show you what's been billed so far, because this particular stage hasn't had a previous bill. If I flick back to the first stage, we actually see that it actually shows you that the first stage did have a previous bill, and the last invoice was on that date, and that was the detail of the last invoice. So to create new billing information, very simple. We might decide, we basically then select what we want to actually bill. So we can bill by date range or percentage. So the first example I'll show will be by date range. So the system is intelligent. It shows that the last time we billed up to for the rental was for the 27th of December 2012. So it's automatically defaulted to the 28th of the 12th. So we can bill the next period. So in this example, if I say, okay, well, let's bill another few more days there. So let's bill to the 5th of the 1st. And let me actually extend this screen over, or just scroll over to the right hand side here. And I've put in, notice how I've put in the 5th of the 1st. I've typed in something wrong there. So let me just change that to the 2013, which explains why all those negative numbers appeared. So as you can see there, I've now changed it so that we're going to bill $795. So if I change the date, you'll see that if I change that to the 6th and press tab, changes to $883 for that. If I change it again, I may make it the 4th, that's $707. So you can change that to whatever you like. So let's try and make that match up. So we want basically to be $618. So let's make it 3rd of the 1st, 3rd of the 1st, 2013, and that's basically just 1 week of rental. And I can scroll over to the right. If I had a bigger screen, I wouldn't have to scroll over to the right. So if I click on Add, that's included that hire component in the system. So basically, I've billed another week's rental. Now, you see at the top of the screen, it's actually incremented the date. So I can bill on the same invoice another period for this same component. So I can bill basically another week here. So if I make it the 11th of the 1st, 2013, okay, we've basically got 11 days rental there. If I change it to the 10th, right, we're back to $618. Now the other thing I can do is, before I add this, I can actually, let me illustrate that. So I've actually billed now another component. So I'm billing from now the 4th of January for another 7 days at that same rate. Now I can remove that, and I can change that to do the same thing, but I can make it I'll make it the 10th 01 2013 again. But I can choose to bill 50% of that price. So if we're dismantling and we don't want to bill the full rate, we can actually do that. So if I click on add on that, it's basically, as you can see there, the rate is actually half of the $618 for that rental. So that can appear on the invoice. Now the other thing I can do is I don't have to bill by date range. I can actually bill by straight out percentage. Now to bill by percentage, all you need to do is type in the percentage you want to bill, which is basically the percentage complete, by typing in the percentage complete in the actual yellow box. So an example of this here is we have dismantle labor of $2,000. So I can choose to say I can bill 10% of that. So if I double click in there, if I type in 10%, okay, that's $207, which is 10% of the $2,076.90, and I can add that component to the bill. And same with return transport. I might say, well, let's just bill 100% of the return transport and add that, so that's in there as well. Going back to the hire, I don't have to bill by date range for the hire. I can actually bill by percentage. So if I change this bill to percentage, I can then go over to the hire and say, well, we're going to bill another 10% of this hire. So let's say that we're going to go, this job is now 67% complete. So change that over and click on add there. And I've billed basically another 10% of that hire. I can actually change that to a bit of rounding off there. So I can change that to 10% of the hire. So I can add all these different components to the bill. So it's flexible billing based on either date range or percentage of hire, or just percentage for dismantle labor or just general labor and transport. So if I generate this invoice, so go to reports, go to progress claim, and we'll actually see here we have our summary progress claim. If we just zoom in a little bit so you can read that a little bit better. So we have our full progress claim there, which you've seen in previous demonstrations and tutorials, and there are our three components of hire. So we've got that original hire from that date to that date, the full 100%, then we had our 50% hire, and then we've got that 10% of the total. So you wouldn't normally do that, but I'm just showing you that you pretty much can do anything. So that's the hire, and that's the total amount for the claim. If we exit out of that and we go to progress claim details, again, this gives us the full detail. So zooming in again, we have our detail there, and on the right hand side, so we've got the three hire components for stage 1, and then we have our hire components summarized, and then the two other components for dismantle labor and return transport. So therefore we have those two plus the 3 hire components. That's 5 components altogether, shown on the detailed progress claim. And as you can see, there are our 5 components down the bottom there. Now if you made a mistake and you want to make a change, you can click on this plus again, which means that you can add components or you can actually edit them. So if you've made a mistake, you can always remove one of these lines and then add one of these in again. To illustrate this, let's go to invoice a per week thereafter. So let's just say we go into an overhire situation for, let's go to a different stage now. Let's go to the stage 3, and we have an overhire situation where we've gone into the per week thereafter, and it's very similar to the normal hire. So here we have per week thereafter can start on the 26th of February for this third stage at 158.57 per week. So at 370 per week. So that's our charge. So if we put in, well, to be simple, we can actually just bill. Well, we've got a couple of days higher there, so let's just bill from 26th to the end of the month. So I click on add, and as you can see there, it's billed the 370 per week, but it's only 2 days, so it's $158. Now if we go back to that again, that same per week thereafter charge, see how the default date now is the 1st of March, so I can then choose to bill at a percentage of that rate. So 50%, just like I showed you before. So it's 50%. That's 185 a week, and we can add that in as well. So we can keep flowing this higher, ongoing, with percentages of the weekly rate or total percentage. So again, I can regenerate this invoice and reprint the invoice. So I hope that made sense. Obviously, I probably could have done this demo a little bit better with some more meaningful data, but it does illustrate the flexibility of the invoicing system. So thanks for watching.